John Wallace looked out the window of his office at the gleaming towers of New Washington. 20 years as a diplomat had given him a steady gaze that rarely showed surprise, but the message on his screen made his eyebrows rise. "They want me at the Galactic Council. After all this time," he said. Allison Reed, his assistant for the past 5 years, nodded. "The invitation arrived an hour ago. Priority channel." John rubbed his chin. The Galactic Confederation had discovered Earth 10 years ago. Since then, they had treated humans like children, barely worth talking to. Now suddenly, they wanted Earth's top diplomat at their main station. "Something's wrong," he said. "They don't invite us to anything important." Allison handed him a cup of coffee. Maybe they finally see humans as equals. John almost smiled. "I doubt that. Call Director Foster. She needs to know about this." 3 hours later, John sat in the underground office of Sandra Foster, head of the United Nations Space Command. Her face was serious as she showed him images on the large screen. "These were taken near Neptune 2 days ago," she said. The pictures showed strange ships, unlike the usual Confederation designs. They moved in patterns that looked like search grids. "They're looking for something," John said. Sandra nodded. "Or planning something. And now, suddenly, they invite our top diplomat to their station. You think these events are connected?" "I don't believe in coincidences, John. Not when it comes to aliens." John spent the next day preparing. The U.S. Horizon, Earth's best diplomatic vessel, would take him to Centauri Station. The ship wasn't large, about the size of old Navy destroyers from the 21st century. But it was the most advanced human-built ship in space. As he packed his bags, John thought about his team. Major Greg Miller would handle security, a quiet man who had fought in the Mars colony uprising. Dr. Karen Phillips knew more alien languages than anyone else on Earth, and Allison, of course, would manage everything else. "Are you worried?" Allison asked as they boarded the Horizon. John watched the loading crews moving supplies. Every other species had thousands of years to develop before meeting aliens. We had barely reached our own moon when they found us. The ship hummed to life around them. Captain Laura Wilson welcomed them aboard, her uniform crisp and perfect. "We'll reach Centauri Station in 6 days, sir," she said. "The new drive system is working well." John thanked her and went to his quarters. The room was small but comfortable. A window showed Earth growing smaller as they pulled away. The blue planet looked peaceful from space. Most humans never left it. They lived their lives, had families, worked jobs, and rarely thought about the hundreds of alien species now watching humanity. As Earth became a tiny blue dot, John touched the window. They were so new to the stars, so alone, so vulnerable. "What do you want from us?" he whispered, thinking of the Confederation's sudden interest. In 20 years of diplomatic work, he had learned one truth. When powerful nations suddenly invite you to talk, they rarely bring good news. The Horizon accelerated, leaving Earth behind. John Wallace straightened his back, checked his appearance in the mirror, and prepared to represent all of humanity to a galaxy that had mostly ignored them. He had a bad feeling about this invitation. The U.S. Horizon slowed as it approached Centauri Station. John Wallace had seen pictures, but they didn't capture how massive the station was. It looked like a giant metal flower with 8 huge arms stretching out from a central hub. Each arm was bigger than the largest cities on Earth. "My God," Allison whispered as they stared through the viewing window. "It must be 50 miles across." Major Greg Miller nodded. "And this is just one of their stations, not even their biggest one." The Horizon docked at a small bay marked for emerging species. Dr. Karen Phillips frowned when she saw the sign. "We've been spacefaring for 100 years," she said, "but they still treat us like newcomers." John straightened his dark blue suit. "Remember, we represent all of Earth. Stay calm, no matter what they say or do." When they stepped off the ship, no welcome party waited for them. Only a small green alien with 4 arms stood there, holding a tablet. "Humans, follow." Its voice came from a translation device on its chest. They walked through huge hallways filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human. Others had no faces, or floated above the ground, or moved on dozens of legs. Many aliens moved away when they saw the humans, as if they didn't want to get too close. "They're avoiding us," Allison whispered. John noticed it too. Something's not right. Their guide took them to small rooms that would be their home on the station. The rooms were clearly designed for humans, with beds and chairs that fit their bodies, but everything felt slightly wrong. The chairs too deep, the beds too soft. "Rest. Meeting tomorrow. 9th hour." The guide left them without another word. Major Miller checked the rooms for listening devices. He found 3 and disabled them. "Now we can talk," he said. Dr. Phillips connected her tablet to the station's information network. "There's so much data here. Hundreds of species, thousands of star systems." John looked out the window at the busy station. "Find anything about why we're here?" "Nothing clear," she said, "but there are messages about a human issue being discussed in closed council sessions." There was a knock at their door. Major Miller put his hand on his hidden weapon. John opened the door. A tall, blue-skinned alien stood there. He had no hair and 4 fingers on each hand. His eyes were kind. "Ambassador Wallace. I am Seltor of the Nadarian Commonwealth." He spoke perfect English without a translator. "May I come in?" John invited him inside. Zeltor looked around the small room and frowned. "They gave you visitor quarters. Not diplomatic ones." He shook his head. "Typical Vorathi behavior." "Vorathi?" Allison asked. "The insect-like species that runs most of the council," Seltor explained. "They don't like newcomers. My people faced the same treatment centuries ago." John offered him a seat. "Why are we here, Ambassador Exceltor? The Confederation has ignored us for years." Zeltor's blue face grew serious. "Something has happened. The council is divided. Some want to help you, others." He stopped. "Others what?" John asked. "Others see humans as a threat." Zeltor said, "You advance too quickly, develop technologies too fast. It makes older species nervous." As they talked, another visitor arrived. A human woman with gray in her red hair. She wore trader clothes. "Patricia Nelson," she introduced herself. "I trade spices from Earth. Very popular with some species." After the others left the room, she whispered to John, "But I also gather information, and something big is happening. Military ships are moving near human space. Many more than normal." John felt a cold weight in his stomach. First, the strange ships near Neptune. Now this invitation and military movements. He looked out at the countless aliens moving through the station and wondered how many saw humans as friends and how many saw them as a problem to be solved. Tomorrow's meeting couldn't come soon enough. 3 days passed before John Wallace was finally allowed into the High Council chamber. For those 3 days, the human team attended minor meetings about trade and cultural exchange. Nothing that explained why they had been brought to Centauri Station. "They're stalling," Major Miller said as they walked to the High Council chamber, "keeping us busy with unimportant talks." John nodded. His patience was wearing thin. The council chamber was a huge round room, with seats rising up the walls like a bowl. Hundreds of different aliens sat watching as John and his team entered. At the center was a round platform where speakers stood. 5 aliens sat at a high table facing the platform. These were the High Counselors, the leaders of the Galactic Confederation. The one in the middle was clearly a Vorathi. Its body was like a large insect with a hard shell, 6 limbs, and compound eyes that seemed to catch every movement in the room. "Ambassador John Wallace of Earth," the Vorathi said, its voice translated into flat English. "I am High Counselor Zex Kaltar. You have been brought here to answer serious charges." John felt his stomach tighten. "Charges? What charges?" Zex Kaltar tapped a control, and a large screen appeared in the air. It showed a video of what looked like a human military ship firing weapons at a small space station. The station broke apart. pieces drifting into space. 3 days ago, a human warship attacked a Vorathi scientific outpost, Zex Coulter said. 42 Vorathi scientists died. This is an act of war. The room filled with angry voices. John stared at the video, shocked. That's impossible, he said. Earth would never attack a scientific station. Yet here is proof, the Vorathi said. The ship matches human designs. The weapons are human technology. John looked at Major Miller, who shook his head slightly. Something was wrong. We request full access to this evidence, John said, and time to contact Earth about these claims. Another counselor, a bird-like creature with feathers that shimmered with color, leaned forward. Your communications with Earth have been restricted until this matter is resolved. For security purposes, John felt cold anger rising inside him. You've cut us off from our government, based on accusations we haven't been able to verify. The evidence is clear, Zex Coulter said. The Council will vote on sanctions against Earth while we consider a proper response to this aggression. Before John could argue further, the vote began. On screens around the room, hundreds of alien representatives cast their votes. Most voted for sanctions, though John noticed Seltor and some others voted against. Sanctions are approved, Zex Coulter announced. Earth ships will not be permitted to leave your solar system. Any found outside will be detained. John stood straight, fighting to keep his voice steady. The ship in that video is not from Earth. We need to investigate this properly. You are dismissed, Ambassador, Zex Coulter said. You will remain on this station until further notice. Back in their quarters, the team gathered around Dr. Phillips' tablet. She had managed to copy the video evidence from the Council records. Look at this, she said, pointing to details of the supposed human ship. The design is wrong. The proportions are off. Someone tried to make it look human, but made mistakes. Major Miller nodded. And the attack pattern makes no sense. No human captain would approach from that angle or fire in that sequence. Allison pulled up star charts. Plus, according to these coordinates, the attack happened in a system humans have never even visited. We don't have maps of that region. John paced the room. We're being set up. But why? And by whom? Patricia Nelson slipped into their room an hour later. Her face was grim. I have friends who can access restricted files. You need to see what I found. She handed John a small data chip. The scientific outpost wasn't studying stars. It was a forward military base. And the attack never happened. It was staged. John felt the blood drain from his face. They're creating an excuse. But for what? Patricia's voice was barely a whisper. For war. John stared at the documents on Patricia's data chip. His hand shook slightly as he scrolled through page after page of secret plans. This can't be right, he said, but the evidence was clear. Dr. Phillips read over his shoulder. A preemptive peacekeeping operation. That's just fancy words for invasion. The documents showed detailed plans for a military attack on Earth. The Confederation, led by the Vorathi, had been planning this for years. Their reason: humans were too unpredictable, too aggressive, and developing technology too quickly. The documents called Earth a future threat to galactic stability. They were never going to accept us as equals, Major Miller said, his face grim. They've been planning to attack us all along. Allison tried the communication system again. All channels to Earth are still blocked. We can't warn them. Patricia pulled up a star map on her small device. My sources tell me a Confederation fleet left 2 days ago. They're heading for Earth. John felt sick. An alien fleet was on its way to attack his planet, and he couldn't even send a warning message. Can your friend, Seltor, help us? He asked Patricia. She shook her head. The Nadarians are sympathetic, but they're not strong enough to stand against the Vorathi. Not alone. John thought quickly. We need to get a message to Earth. How far can the Horizon's communication system reach? Not far enough, Major Miller said. But there are courier ships that can send faster than light messages across great distances. Could we use one? John asked. Patricia nodded slowly. Maybe, but they're heavily guarded, and even if we sent a warning, what could Earth do? Our ships are no match for the Confederation fleet. John stood up, determination in his eyes. Our people deserve a chance to prepare. And we need to show the rest of the Confederation what the Vorathi are really doing. They spent hours planning. The courier ships were in a secure section of the station. They would need access codes, a distraction, and perfect timing. Zeltor agreed to help when John showed him the documents. This goes against everything the Confederation claims to stand for, the blue-skinned alien said. I can give you my diplomatic access codes. They will get you into some restricted areas. Patricia would create a distraction in the trading sector. Dr. Phillips would slice into the communication systems. Major Miller would handle security. And John and Allison would reach the courier ship with the evidence. As they prepared to put their plan into action, Dr. Phillips made another discovery. Look at this, she said, pointing to hidden files on the chip. The Vorathi have been studying Earth intensely. Not just our technology, but our resources. John read the reports. Earth was unusually rich in certain rare minerals that were valuable to the Vorathi. The planet's water and biodiversity were also considered exceptional. This isn't just about us being a threat, he said. They want our planet. Major Miller checked his watch. It's time. We need to move now if this is going to work. As they left their quarters, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. What's happening? Allison asked. A message played over the station's speakers in multiple languages. When it reached English, John's blood ran cold. Attention all species. A state of emergency has been declared. The human homeworld has engaged in hostile actions against Confederation forces. A peacekeeping response has been authorized. All humans on the station are to be confined to quarters immediately. Patricia's eyes were wide with fear. They've done it. They've attacked Earth. John's face hardened. Change of plans. We're not just sending a message anymore. We're going to show the entire Confederation what's really happening. John's team rushed through the corridors of Centauri Station. Aliens of all kinds moved out of their way, some looking afraid, others angry. We need to get to the main communication hub, John said. If we can't warn Earth, we can at least show everyone what the Vorathi are really doing. Major Miller checked his small hidden weapon. Station security will be looking for us. Then we split up, John decided. Patricia, take Dr. Phillips to the trading sector. Your contacts might hide you. Allison and I will go to the communication hub. Major Miller create a distraction to keep security busy. As they reached a junction in the corridor, security forces appeared. 4 tall reptilian aliens with shock buttons. Humans, stop immediately. One called out. Major Miller nodded to John. Go, I'll handle this. John didn't wait to see what happened. He grabbed Allison's arm, and they ran down a side corridor. Behind them, they heard shouts and the crackle of energy weapons. Will he be okay? Allison asked as they ran. Greg knows what he's doing, John said, hoping it was true. They used Zeltor's access codes to enter restricted areas of the station. Twice they had to hide from patrols. The codes wouldn't work forever. The Vorathi would realize Zeltor was helping them and lock him out of the system. There it is, John said as they reached a door marked with alien symbols. The secondary communication hub. Inside, screens showed images from all over the galaxy. And on the largest screen, Earth. John felt his heart break as he saw his home planet. Flashes of light surrounded Earth as ships fired at each other. The Confederation fleet was massive, with hundreds of vessels. Earth's defenses seemed tiny in comparison. They're destroying everything, Allison whispered. John connected Patricia's data chip to the system. Not if I can help it. He began sending the Vorathi's secret plans to every screen in the station. Every alien on Centauri would see the truth, that this wasn't a response to human aggression, but a planned invasion to take Earth's resources. John. Allison called out, pointing to another screen. Look. The screen showed Earth's forces fighting back hard. Human ships were smaller and fewer, but they moved in ways the Confederation ships couldn't match. Several alien vessels were already drifting, damaged, or destroyed. They didn't expect us to fight so well, John said, a small smile crossing his face. The door burst open. Vorathi security forces poured in, followed by High Counselor Zex-Kaltar himself. "Stop this transmission immediately," the Vorathi leader demanded. John faced him calmly. "Too late. Everyone on this station knows what you've done, what you planned all along." "It doesn't matter," Zex-Kaltar said. "Your planet will be ours before anyone can intervene. Humans are dangerous. The galaxy will be safer with you under our control." "Under your control, or just your new slaves?" John asked. The insect-like face showed no emotion, but the Vorathi's voice was cold. "Your resources are too valuable to waste. Your people will serve a greater purpose under Vorathi guidance." Security forces grabbed John and Allison. Zex-Kaltar moved closer to John, compound eyes reflecting his face. "You have failed, human. Your transmission changes nothing. The other species are too afraid of the Vorathi to act." A message came through on Zex-Kaltar's communicator. The Vorathi listened, then made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Your Major Miller has been captured. Your traitor friend and the language expert as well. And now you will watch as we complete our victory over Earth." Zex-Kaltar turned to the guards. "Bring them to the main council chamber. Let them witness the fall of their world before all the representatives of the Confederation." As they were led away, Allison whispered to John, "What do we do now?" John watched the battle for Earth continuing on the screens, his people fighting bravely against impossible odds. "We make them listen," he said quietly, "no matter what it takes." The council chamber was packed with aliens from hundreds of worlds. John Wallace and his team were brought in by armed guards and forced to stand on the central platform. Their hands were bound behind their backs. High Counselor Zex-Kaltar took his place at the high table. The other 4 counselors looked uncomfortable, especially the bird-like alien who had spoken before. "Representatives of the Confederation," Zex-Kaltar began, "we have gathered you to witness a historic moment. The human threat is being contained as we speak." Giant screens appeared around the chamber, showing the battle at Earth. The Confederation fleet surrounded the planet, firing at the human defenses. But John noticed something strange. The Confederation ships were not all fighting. Some hung back, watching. "Some of your ships seem reluctant to attack," John said loudly. "Perhaps they've seen the truth we shared." Zex-Kaltar's compound eyes flashed with anger. "Silence, human. This is a necessary peacekeeping action. Humans have proven themselves too dangerous to join galactic society as equals." From the crowd, Ambassador Xeltor stood up. "Then why do the documents your diplomat revealed show this attack was planned years ago, before any alleged human aggression?" Murmurs spread through the chamber. More representatives stood up, demanding answers. Zex-Kaltar raised all 6 of his limbs. "Order. The humans have spread lies to divide us. See how they resist our peacekeeping forces." The screens showed human ships fighting fiercely. A small group of defenders had formed a line around one of Earth's major cities. They were outnumbered but fighting with incredible determination. "Look at their primitive tactics," Zex-Kaltar said. "They fight without strategy, using only brute force." Major Miller, still standing proud despite a cut on his face, laughed. "That's not what I see. Your ships are falling into their trap." As if on cue, the human ships suddenly changed formation. They moved in perfect coordination, surrounding a group of Confederation vessels. Earth's orbital defenses fired, catching the alien ships in a crossfire. The chamber grew quiet as several Confederation ships exploded. "Impossible," someone whispered. "Their technology shouldn't be that advanced." Dr. Phillips smiled despite her bound hands. "You underestimated humans. A dangerous mistake." The bird-like counselor leaned forward. "High Counselor, many members are questioning this action." The evidence the humans revealed is fake. Zex Kaltar shouted. The Vorathi have protected this galaxy for 10,000 years. Would you trust these newcomers over us? John watched the screens, seeing his homeworld burning. Cities in flames. Brave defenders dying. Everything that mattered to humanity was being destroyed while politicians argued. Something inside John Wallace broke. Years of diplomatic training, of careful words and polite smiles, shattered. His face flushed red with a fury he had never shown in public. Enough. He roared, his voice filling the chamber without any amplification. The room fell silent in shock. John stepped forward, ignoring the guards who tried to hold him back. His eyes locked with Zex Kaltar's. You attacked our home. John's voice cracked with emotion. Not because we threatened you, not because we attacked first, but because you wanted our resources, because you feared what we might become. He turned to face the representatives from hundreds of worlds. Look at these screens. This is not peacekeeping. This is conquest. This is genocide. The chamber erupted in voices. Some aliens shouted in support of John. Others defended the Vorathi. Zex Kaltar slammed all 6 limbs on the table. The human will be removed. No, came a chorus of voices. The bird-like counselor stood up. Ambassador Wallace will speak. We will hear the truth. As guards approached John, the room watched in stunned silence as the human diplomat, tears streaming down his face, prepared to fight for his planet's survival with the only weapon he had left. The truth. The council chamber fell silent as John Wallace spoke. His voice was no longer the careful, measured tone of a diplomat. It was raw with emotion. For 10 years, we tried to join your confederation peacefully. We followed your rules. We respected your boundaries. And all that time, the Vorathi were planning to take our world. John's team stood tall beside him. Even with their hands bound, they showed no fear. On the screens, you see my people fighting for their lives, John continued. Not because they want war, but because you gave them no choice. The bird-like counselor spoke. These are serious accusations, Ambassador Wallace. What proof do you offer beyond the documents you shared? Zex Kaltar hissed. Documents that could easily be faked. Then explain why your fleet was ready to attack Earth before any supposed human aggression, John challenged. Explain why your own records show you've been studying Earth's resources for years. Before Zex Kaltar could answer, the screen showing Earth flickered. The image changed to show a human woman in a military uniform, her face dirty and one arm bandaged. This is Admiral Linda Hayes of Earth Defense Forces, she said. To any Confederation representatives receiving this, we have captured 3 Vorathi ships intact. Their logs confirm everything Ambassador Wallace has revealed. This attack was planned years ago. We are not the aggressors here. The chamber erupted in voices. John felt hope rise in his chest. The humans lie. Zex Kaltar shouted, but many representatives were already calling for a ceasefire. Suddenly, Ambassador Exceltor stood. The Nadarian Commonwealth withdraws its support for this action. We call for all Confederation forces to stand down immediately. Other representatives quickly followed. One by one, species announced they would no longer support the attack on Earth. The bird-like counselor stood up. I call for an emergency vote. The Confederation must decide if this action against Earth continues. Zex Kaltar's compound eyes flashed with rage. This is treason against the Vorathi leadership. No, the bird counselor said firmly. This is the Confederation functioning as it should, with justice for all species, not just the strongest. The vote was quickly organized. On screens around the chamber, representatives cast their decisions. John watched as the numbers climbed. The vote is clear, the bird counselor announced. By a majority of 3-1, the Confederation demands all forces withdraw from Earth immediately. Cheers filled the chamber. Guards moved to free John and his team from their restraints. On the main screens, the battle around Earth changed. Many Confederation ships were turning away, leaving the fight. The Vorathi vessels continued attacking, but now they were outnumbered. Then, a new fleet appeared at the edge of the system. Zeltor smiled. "The Nadarian fleet," he explained to John. "We dispatched them as soon as we saw your evidence. They will help defend Earth until the Vorathi withdraw." Zexcaltar stood before John, his insect body tense with fury. "This isn't over, human. The Vorathi do not forget." "Neither do we," John replied calmly. "But we're willing to forgive. That's the difference between us." 3 days later, John stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon as it approached Earth. The planet looked different now. Parts of it were scared from the attack. But it was still home, and it was still free. "We've received a message from Earth," Allison said, smiling. "They want to throw you a parade." John shook his head. "No parades, but I would like a hamburger. Haven't had decent food in weeks." The crew laughed, tension finally breaking. As Earth grew larger in the view screen, John thought about the future. Humanity had proven itself. They had faced the strongest power in the galaxy and survived. The Confederation would never underestimate humans again. "Send a message to Earth," John said. "Tell them we're coming home, and we're bringing new friends." Behind the horizon, ships from a dozen alien worlds followed, their leaders eager to meet the species that had stood up to the Vorathi and won.